crest a low hill in the forest, finding it lit by scattered hellfire. In the center, a demon of the old world unfurls its wings, welcoming you to your last breath.
You're dead!
Where do we find inspiration? I often look outside the lines and box to start the juices flowing. Indie creators mind the area outside the boxes, much as they take inspiration from inside the box. I watched a video recently from Religion for Breakfast about how real magic was practiced in the real world. He talked about how religion and magic differed wildly from what we often see on screen or read in books or play in our games. It was scholarly and even-handed in its approach. I found it fascinating. Inspiration exists all around us. As creators, all we have to do is take a chance on something outside of our normal reach. You do not have to become a believer, and I'll always encourage you to vet your sources, especially from the internet. He says, as he's going to use a small bit from a wiki page later. That doesn't mean you cannot find something of worth in the creation of others. Welcome to another episode, March 2026 of Zero Means You're Dead. I'm the host, and I guess host. No other word for it. SM Hillman, a lead pipe wielding professional. I was acquitted. It's fine. It'll be fine. All right, so we have a lot of news to cover tonight. A lot of interesting things going on in the world of TTRPGs and card games and video games and comic books. So we have a little bit of everything for you tonight. All right, I shouldn't touch my nose in a live broadcast for that. So 5.5e. What? Settling it. This is an article from Ian World, but it's been all over the Dungeon Tube. Setting a debate that has lasted over 2 years, the current edition of Dungeons & Dragons, which has been known by various names up until now, has finally received an official designation, D&D 5.5e. Previously, the current rule set was referred to as 1D&D before becoming D&D 2024. That would be the year the Player's Handbook came out, and the Dungeon Master Guide, I do believe. Or was it the Monster Manual? Anyway, 2 of the books came out in 2024. Other variations exist, but the most common version used by fans was D&D 5.5. I'll just take a moment. I don't know if that's necessarily true. As a lot of the people that I listen to and talk to didn't use 5.5, and many of these are folks who play 3.5, which I'll get to in a minute. The 5.5 terminology echoes the edition names used in the early 2000s for D&D 3e and D&D 3.5. D&D Beyond has an FAQ related to the name change. In it, they say that earlier on, the in brackets 2024 rules were referred to differently. As D&D Beyond evolved and more players used both versions side by side, it became clear that 5.5e matched how the community already talks about the game and made things easier to understand. It may be that there was some momentum towards 5.5e. I don't know why they shied away from it to begin with. My own experience with 3rd edition and 3.5. 3.5 became the definitive edition we played. Back then I was involved with Living Greyhawk. It's what we wrote after it came out. It's what we switched to those rules and made adjustments to the campaign. But I don't know why they didn't do it from the beginning, but there was definitely a difference. When the OGL first came out, it was using the 3E rules. So a lot of D20 games that you see early on, and then even today, I think some still use it. We're using the 3E, which is slightly different from 3.5. I think 3.5 is better. I don't think 5.5 is better than 5. Just my opinion. But there you go. It is now officially, this new edition of Dungeons and Dragons is now 5.5e. I guess they'll go to 6th edition in another 10 years. All right, this is something I was waiting for, and for whatever reason, completely missed. When it came out in January. Let's see, let me bring it up here. The world most anticipated TTRPGs of 2026. I'll go, the article is from EN World, because this is an EN World related item. I'll go in order, read a little bit from each one as we go. Number 10, Twilight Sword, from Two Little Mice and Free League. This game from Italian studio Two Little Mice, which also put out Household and Outgunned, is inspired by classic video games like The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy. It raised close to $1 million in backer kit late last year, and uses an original D12-based roll-under game system called Created at Twilight, CAT system. Publisher Two Little Mice appeared in this chart back in 2023 with Household, where players take on the roles of little folk of European folklore. That was number 10, Twilight Sword. Number 9, Old School Essentials 2026 edition. Update from Necrotic Gnome. The existing OSE is billed as a retro adventure game. OSE boasts light rules based on the D&D rules of the 70s and 80s, with clones of both the BX D&D rules and AD&D First Edition. It's more or less true. This 2026 update is a new edition with updated art and a completely OGL-free text. Publisher Necrotic Gnome is also known for Dolmenwood, which we've talked about, which appeared on this chart last year. Sure did. Number 8, Discworld, Adventures in Ankh-Morpork, from Modiphius. Appearing on the chart last year, Modiphius' take on Terry Pratchett's Discworld made nearly $3 million back in Kickstarter. With all the satire, absurdity, and wonder of the Discworld novels, this game is set in the city of Ankh-Morpork. I know a lot of you are looking forward to that. True to my heart, number 7, The Black Company by Arc Dream Publishing. Currently in playtest, this is the second official Black Company TTRPG, the first coming from Green Ronin back in 2004. I didn't know that. How did I not know that? I didn't play it, if I did. This time it's from Arc Dream Publishing, probably best known for Delta Green, based on Glenn Cook's gritty fantasy novel series of the 1980s and continuing recently. The Black Company featured morally gray characters with a military focus as it follows a mercenary through several decades of its history. I would be more to say that they are just mostly bad people with the occasional heartfelt inspiration to do the right thing. Or people do the right thing but don't care about the consequences. Anyway, read the books if you're into that kind of fantasy. Highly recommend. And we're going to be featuring the Black Company review, or the Quick Start review, here soon. And you betcha this year is going to appear on Hit the Dice. The Broken Empires by Evil Baby Entertainment. Its first appearance on the list. Previously, yes, Black Company, this is its first appearance on the list. Let me go into that just for a second. It's it happens. I mean, it happens in all creativity, right? Books get pushed back. George R. R. Martin, looking at you. Um, but games. Your intention might be to bring a game out in 2026, but any number of reasons might um, force you to put it out in back to 2027. Anyway, The Broken Empires by Evil Baby Entertainment. Described as a sim-light D100 skills-based TTRPG, The Broken Empires is a fantasy world which apparently draws on over 125 role-playing games. Sim-light refers to games which balance fast mechanics with detailed simulation aspects, what they might have called simulationist game back in the early 2000s, if you're into that. The game boasts no stats, classes, or levels, and combat, which is both detailed and fast. We hear that all the time. Maybe it's true. The game made over $500,000 on Kickstarter, excellent, with a whole bunch of endorsements from prominent gaming influencers back in 2024, is available for pre-order right now. The Broken Empire, Evil Baby Entertainment. Number 5, most anticipated. Ars Magica Definitive Edition from Atlas Games. Its first appearance on the list, but Ars Magica has been around since the late 80s. 87, in fact. Here we go. Ars Magica was created in 1987. Sorry, I touched my nose again. And it's famous for creating the concept of the verb-noun magic system. Set in a mythical Europe, players take on the roles of wizards and their companions, some of them even peasants, or in theory. Ars Magica was also the originator of troop-style play, so they say, where players have more than one character and uses whichever character is appropriate to the game system. There have been 5 editions of Ars Magica, and this definitive edition is the deluxe expanded version of 5th edition of Ars Magica, obviously. I know a number of people would probably push back about the troop style play, but Ars Magica has been a popular game over the years. Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing 5th Edition. We talked about this in a previous Zero Remains Your Dead. First appearance, Cubicle 7 also appeared number 2 in the list for 4E in 2018, so it's only been 8 years. In 2018, Cubicle 7 featured in this list for 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing. Now in WFRP's 40th anniversary, it's back with 5th edition. Yes, lots of games have 5th editions. Backwards compatible with refined rules and reworked combat flow. The iconic game is coming back in 2026. So my apologies for the neighbors if you hear them. WFRP is known for its career system in which characters advance by taking on sequential new careers and its old world fantasy setting. Yes, you can play a literal rat catcher. It's always fun. Mistborn, Brotherwise Games, first appearance, or second if you count included last year's Cosmere TTRPG nomination. Last year, Brotherwise Game broke every TTRPG record with its Kickstarter for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG, made over $14 million, mostly, I assume, because people love Brandon. The game is out in the wild now, but now they're following up with Mistborn RPG. This was a stretch goal for the original campaign, so it won't be another multi-million-dollar Kickstarter, but it is a separate game for the Cosmere currently out there. To the Cosmere currently out there. There will be 3 hardcover books containing lore and rules, of course there are, as well as an adventure called Mistborn Legacy. If you're a Mistborn fan, there you go. Number 2, Invincible Superhero Role-Playing by Free League. First appearance and Free League's 13th appearance. Yeah, Free League has a lot of games. Where would this be without Free League's traditional Q4 Kickstarter? Invincible is based on the comic book series and animated show by Robert Kirkman, the guy who brought us The Walking Dead. They did a game of that too, which featured in the list in 2023. Yes, it did. Invincible is a superhero story which features graphic violence, bright costumes, alien invasions, and more. The game will use Free League's Year Zero system. War Zero system. No, definitely Year Zero. And finally, Deathbringer, Roll for Combat, Dungeon Craft. First appearance for both the game and its creators. The winner this year, with more than 3 times the second place votes, is a game from Dan DeFazio. My apologies, Dan, aka Professor DM, as a well-known social media influencer in the tabletop gaming space. Very true. This looks like an old school style game, at least from the logo. Expect rules light, grimdark stuff. There's an earlier PDF version on DTRPG, a couple of pages of house rules to make D&D more dangerous, which is an adamantine bestseller. It's the very top category of store sales rankings and described as seen on the Dungeon Craft YouTube channel. Deathbringer RPG is a grimdark fantasy rules kit compatible with 5e and any OSR retro clone. This trifold rules set contains trifold rules set contains all you need for character creation, combat, and spellcasting. The unique Deathbringer dice mechanic replaces traditional features, feats, and skills with a fast, flexible alternative. Get ready for breakneck, bone-crunching, skill-smashing action with Deathbringer. So that is what's currently up there. This is a whole game of Deathbringer. So congratulations to Professor DM. Absolutely, congratulations from Go Indie Now, the creator of the most anticipated TTRPG of 2026. There you go. Also an article from Yen World. Neon Odyssey for 5e. Advantris Entertainment, the publishing arm of Legends of Advantris and the makers of the Crooked Moon, has announced a new space opera themed D&D project that will launch on Kickstarter later this year. Neon Odyssey is described as a neon-soaked science fantasy space opera trilogy for D&D 5e. Drawing inspiration from sources like Star Wars and Cowboy Bebop, the Neon Odyssey project includes 3 books, an Outrunner's Handbook containing player rules and character building guides, a Cosmic Codex detailing the Stardust Rhapsody campaign setting, and the Overdrive expansion that contains optional rules for professions, racing, and more. All the classic D&D character classes are reimagined in books under new names, containing mechanical upgrades with 40 subclasses, 30 species, and 300 alien monsters and enemies you're supposed to battle against. The Kickstarter for Neon Odyssey will launch in May. We'll keep you updated here, with Advantris running weekly Neon Odyssey focused content on their channels from March to June. So starting now. Advantris' last Kickstarter to fund the Crooked Moon raised over $4 million in 2023. So check that out. I checked out the trailer. Looks good. All right. A couple bits of news from Chaosium. Quest Worlds hardback. Quest Worlds offers a complete rules-light system focused on resolving in-play conflicts quickly and easily. It centers around a simple core mechanic and optional rules that allow you to customize your game to suit any setting or genre. Quest Worlds was an original from Chaosium way back, and over the years, something that people wanted to see coming back. So they did largely from the Hero Wars game system. So check that out if that's something you're interested in. Yes, Hero Wars, and then Hero Quest. It's a long story, but anyway. No, that's from Chaosium. That is not from Games Workshop. 7th Sea New Edition, so 3rd edition. Also from the news is from Chaosium. That's Chaosium, not us, not me. Announced last year that our friends at Studio Agate had taken over the development and creation of the legendary role-playing game 7th Sea, originally from John Wick. No, not that John Wick, the other John Wick, marking the beginning of a new era for the iconic game. And now, after extensive consultation with fans, they're soon to launch a Kickstarter campaign for the new 3rd edition. Learn more and sign up to be notified when the campaign goes live. This is probably a case where Studio Agate is going to be handling the development, day-to-day development, and Chaosium is going to handle the publishing. Okay, Final Girl board game. Final Girl is a obviously a trope for horror, and there's a popular set of board games out for it. This is Final Girl Series 4. It's going to be, it's actually, let me see if it's up on yet. Sorry, minor difficulty. Okay, so it looks like it's funded. It's made a buttload of money, over $2 million. So yeah, I don't know if they're having late backers, but there you go. Final Girl Series 4, if you enjoy it, that kind of thing, or you enjoy specifically that game, there you go. Something else I think people are going to be enjoying, the Dungeon Crawler Carl RPG plus Unstoppable on BackerKit in April. From Renegade Game Studios, for the RPG, get ready to enter your very own world dungeon. Play as a familiar face such as Carl, Donut, Florin, Prepotente, or build your own unique crawler, complete with a customizable class and race if you survive to the third floor. Entertain your viewers, gain followers, and survive an onslaught of horrors that will make your tootsies curl. For the card game, Unstoppable. Don't have a party? No problem. Hide in the safe room, enjoy the solo or co-op card crafting deck builder set in the world dungeon. You'll battle against neighborhood, borough, and city bosses while gearing up and leveling your character to survive the next floor collapse. Crafting, deck builder, adventure based on John D. Clare's hit system. Card crafting mechanics allow you to upgrade abilities and equipment as you play, build combos, and manage risk as every fight escalates through momentum-based gameplay. The Old, the Cold, the Bold RPG 2nd Edition. Play as criminals that use Sebin, an app that provides tasteful gigs and protection from the fuzz. The 2nd Edition also comes with 11 found family pre-gens and new artwork. Play as the insightful Old, the assertive Cold, or the dauntless Bold. Bond with your sexy partners in crime. Be the justice people can afford. Make money doing gigs for rich folk with chips on their shoulder. P.S. You're not a vigilante if you get paid. All right, I did promise video games. Orkin from Six More Vodka. Six More Vodka published the Genesis TTRPG many years ago. Once there were Neanderthals, and we probably outcompeted them or murdered them. Humans are an invasive species. In order to progress, we must expand, and we'll stop at nothing to do so. This is a story as old as time. This is human nature. Why is it then that this chord so rarely struck in fantasy media? Why is it that there's always some other murder hobo race doing the dirty work for us across decades of fantasy publications? Why is it always some clobbering orcs with little agency beyond being manipulated by evil forces responsible for all the pillaging, raiding, and conquesting? Orkin asks a simple question. What if orcs were just another part of our evolutionary story? Would they go the way of the Neanderthal, or fight tooth and claw for their right to live? There's a demo up, or there was a demo up on Steam. Looked good. Looked a little bit like Banner Saga. But yeah, check that out if you're into that sort of Stone Age-ish fantasy. Speaking of fantasy, Tunnels and Trolls, A New Age from Rebellion Unplugged. A fantasy role-playing game where ordinary characters become fated heroes in a land shaped by mighty trolls. This is from the Tunnels and Trolls wiki, if you're not familiar with Tunnels and Trolls. Tunnels and Trolls, abbreviated TNT, is a fantasy role-playing game designed by Ken St. Andre, who also designed the original Stormbringer 1st edition, and first published in 1975 by Flying Buffalo. The second modern role-playing game published, it was written by Ken St. Andre, sorry Ken, to be a more accessible alternative to Dungeons and Dragons, Isn't Everything, and is suitable for solitaire, group, and play-by-mail gameplay. I feel like it is my duty to interject and just say that sometimes we'll see how solo play goes, but not all the solo play is as magnificent as people let on. But Tunnel and Trolls, it has been popular ever since it came out. So again, if you're looking for something, I hesitate to use old school, but something inspired from long ago, if you've never played it, give Tunnels and Trolls a try. Okay, so we will take a brief interlude while Joe gives us the new hotness.
Brandish your medal with righteous fury, for it is your wrath that will bring down our enemies. Vultures will feast on their flesh. Great will be the cries of their widows and the mothers of their fallen, because today we will be victorious.
The world needs you. Out there, it's full of criminal bosses in white suits, of doctors and professors who dress like animals and act as if they have a right to destroy the city in the middle of rush hour, of haywire artificial intelligences who have decided that there is too much humanity in the universe. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. But even in the darkest hour, the good people of the world can always look up to the sky in hope. What is that? A bird? Is it a plane? No, that's you. It's time for you to join the fray. Use your incredible powers to defeat the bad guys and show the universe what you're made of. When the world calls, you are ready to answer, because you are a hero. Outgun Superheroes, world's mightiest RPG.
Ubi eu tempore strenuae nostrae legiones. Where legends walked the lands, and terror sprawled the vast forest. Now, ancient secrets can unlock the power to thwart inhuman gods who threaten chaos and destruction. Some brave few of us fight a hidden war on the fringes of the Empire, far from the comforts of Rome. Along the northern border, our legionaries stand ready, facing toward our enemies of past wars, the Germanic tribes. But it is something different that emerges from the dark forests that cover these lands. A swarm of horrors taken from nightmares and soaring to the hungry gods beyond the stars seeks our ruin. We must band together to stem the tide. This battle will not be won by merchant columns, but by individual heroes who have faced terror and know its fate. Join us in this fight! We will use steel, fire, strange magic, and even ancient weapons of fallen civilizations to challenge the eldritch horrors threatening the Empire. Will you stand with the brave men and women of Laurium? Will you answer the call? Win honor for Rome, or glory for your tribe, it matters not. We will show the enemy we will die before they can take our homes. Mighty warriors of Rome, and our brave barbarian rivals, put aside your hatred and join forces to battle nameless horrors from beyond space and time.
As you can see, mankind will go to any lengths to redeem the Roman Empire. Thank you, Joe. Those are fantastic. We appreciate you showing up with new releases. We should give that segment a name, like Joe conjures the new releases or something, and then we can make Joe wear a wizard's hat. All right, welcome back from our interregnum. See what I did there? I didn't, in that 10 minutes, I didn't touch my nose once. Oh, there we go. Okay, Beyond the Woods. Old Oak Games is proud to announce Beyond the Woods, a brand new officially licensed campaign setting for the acclaimed Legend of the Mist RPG. Discover the Shadowlands of Tir Naskath, an unforgiving dark fantasy world inspired by ancient Irish myth and legend. You and a band of unlikely allies must leave the safety of Ciadarach, the last great city, to explore long-forgotten ruins, uncover otherworldly magic, and face gruesome horrors, like the English. All in the hopes of finding something that can save your home. Beyond the Woods offers fans of Legend of the Mist a new way to play, between the rustic fantasy charm of Ragnarsdale, which has fantastic art, for a beautiful and terrifying world inspired by Irish mythology, influenced by games like Elden Ring. The artwood for Beyond the Woods is good. Beyond the Woods gives players the freedom to explore the lands of Tir Naskath, hex by hex. It's a hex crawler, and customize their map as they brave fallen cities, rediscover lost villages, and uncover the secret history of the ancient and mysterious world. So if you are a fan of Irish mythology, snatch that up. So, Yovakiana by Lila Loon Press. Yovakiana. There we go. Yovakiana. Shape the mists of an age to come in a vibrant world inspired by Indian and Persian mythos. Designed for Dungeons and Dragons 5e. The artwork for this game is beautiful from what I've seen. So I would absolutely recommend you checking that out. Check out Lila Loon Press. From Shoestone Publishing, Drinterra. It's called Kickstarter. Helps build a fantasy setting inspired by Native American cultures. Our native-led writing team is drawing on the legends of folklore to open new possibilities of your TTRPG campaign. The project is a zine, which that means it's sort of like a smaller. It's done in a smaller comic book or magazine style that adds more cultures, creatures, and original artwork. The more backers support us. Join us as we broaden the concept of fantasy. Our team is anchored by TTRPG creators with Indigenous heritage who are in charge of the creative decisions. Sounds pretty good, and hopefully that claim remains true. They do write by the Indigenous people. Pumpkin Spice. I'm smiling because I promised to put this one in here. Pumpkin Spice Magical Cozy RPG on BackerKit. As of this recording, live show, it's probably got 42 hours left on BackerKit. Run a magical cafe, protect the world's magic, and tell a story. One latte and a couple D6s at a time. Pumpkin Spice is a magical, cozy RPG illustrated by SimsArt, inspired by Kiki's Delivery Service, Legend Lattes, Coffee Talk, and more. The artwork is absolutely as advertised. All women actually, with familiars, cats running around barefoot or in flip-flops. They all have their witches' hats on, so that's what's important. But seriously, if you're into cozy RPGs, if that's your jam, and I really am not shaming, go right ahead and jump in on Pumpkin Spice. It'll probably be something you enjoy. Okay, last but certainly not least, a comic book, You Must Be This Tall to Ride by John Robert McGuire. John is a collaborator and friend of Egg Embry. Egg has been on, was our first interview, I do believe. And so, yeah, this is a comic book. It's up on Kickstarter, or will be up on Kickstarter. Eagles Falls Amusement Park promised fun and excitement for the whole family. They didn't say anything about portals to other worlds. When your family inherits an amusement park from a long missing uncle, it turns a potentially boring summer vacation into what could be the greatest summer of all time. However, when a game of hide and seek finds their youngest cousin lost in a huge rundown estate, it is suddenly up to the rest of the kids to find him before their parents get home. But what do you do if there is more to this place than you could ever imagine? What if the various worlds and rise are portals to something else? What if the doorways to other realms, or what if there are doorways to other realms? How far would you go for family? If you're a fan of the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoons, the Goonies, the Neverending Story, or Kids on Bikes style stories, Kids on Bikes and RPG, then this story is for you. Make sure to hit the pre-launch link and know when the project goes live. Punch that pre-launch link. Okay, so now, without further ado, I want to bring on the interview between myself and Rob Reed, designer of Zombie Assault. And as always, it's always about finding the link. Oh, here we go. Please enjoy the interview. Rob was a great interview, and hopefully we'll have him on again. As soon as I get the interview going. You know, I've done this before. Hold on. There might be some technical difficulties here. Oh, give me a second. Where am I at? Here we go. Yeah, give me a moment. Just let me get the get it all downloaded. Probably should have done earlier. Oh, yeah, we're almost there. And then we'll get it started. My apologies for the momentary issue. try this again. It's a live show, so sometimes you run into these issues. But all right, I want to welcome To Zero Means You're Dead, Zombie Assault creator Rob Reed. Rob, how are you doing today?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you being here. You are our first indie card game creator, and we're very excited to have you here. I wanted to ask you, we always sort of ask the RPG folks what their first game was, and obviously feel free to chime in on that as well. But for you, where did your love of card games start?
I've been a gamer my whole life. As a kid, before I ever found D&D, of course, we played the family board games and family card games. And then I got the old Holmes Basic D&D back in 1979, Christmas of 1979. And after that, everything changed. As far as card games specifically, it's hard to say. I mean, as a kid, we used to play Billy Bourne and Go Fish, of course, Old Maid, and other games that other games you play with just a regular deck of cards. And then later, non-poker deck card games like Munchkin, things like that.
Yep.
So I don't think of myself as specifically a card game gamer. I'm just a gamer with broad interests. And in this case, the first thing I produced happened to be a card game because I had an idea that just worked really well as a card game and wouldn't work quite as well for other games.
That makes sense. I'm a big Billy Bourne fan myself. That's my favorite, actually. So tell us where the inspiration comes for Zombie Assault.
A few years back, I just had a thought. I go, it would be really cool if there was a game out there, a card game, where you had humans that were fighting zombies, and when a human gets overwhelmed, you flip his card over and he joins the zombie horde to attack his buddies. I go, I wonder if anybody's done that. And I spent some time poking around, looking around. I mean, obviously, I couldn't find every game in the world, but looked at all the zombie card games I could find and regular zombie games I could find. As far as I could tell, nobody had that exact mechanic. So I'm like, okay, I think I'll create it. And I sat down and I wrote about 8 or 9 pages of notes, which I promptly lost. Then I recreated them on the computer, and then it sat for a few years because I had other things going on. And then finally, it's like, okay, it's time to actually make this game now.
Who did you reach out to play test? Just friends, or did you take it to conventions?
Both. What happened was I had the idea. I talked to my wife about it. Hadn't done anything with it yet. And then a friend of mine by the name of David Shearer, who has a game called Cat Magic, I sent him an email. I said, hey, I got a question about creating a game. Can I talk to you sometime? He's like, yeah, give me a call. So I called him up and I basically asked, how do I create a prototype card game? And he told me, use penny sleeves and get find a template that has 9 cards on a sheet and cut them out and all this, put a card in the middle. I go, okay, cool. So once I knew how to do that, I sat down and I went out and found a bunch of random clip art online to use and wrote the rules out. Not entirely, just some notes on rules, and printed out a whole deck, 54 cards. Cut them out, put them in the sleeve. My wife came home from work and she's like, what's that? Because I'm sitting on the living room floor sorting them. I go, oh, that's my card game. I said, we're taking it to LibertyCon in 2 days. She's like, that's your what? You finally did it? So we sat there and we played it on the living room floor that night, and then made some changes because I realized right away a couple of things didn't work. Made some changes, and then the next day we left for the con, and then the day after that we were at the con. And I had 2 sets I'd made with me, and I just started grabbing friends of mine and said, here, try this out. And, started play testing it that weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That was that quick.
Conventions are always a good place to play test things.
Oh, yeah. And I've taken it to a lot of cons since then. I've taken it back to LibertyCon. I've taken it to local cons. I've done, there's game days at local libraries. I've taken it there. Okay. So it's had 2 years of play testing now.
That's good. That's really good. At what point did you say, okay, I'm ready to put this into bigger production?
About a year ago. I entered the Cardboard Edison contest, and I didn't win, but I did well. And I had started sending it out to publishers. Turns out I was wrong. I thought it was ready a year ago, but one of the people that saw it at Al-Khan was Steve Jackson. And he said, would you like me to take a look at this? And I'm like, sure, I'd be amazed if you take a look at it. So I gave him a deck and a copy of the rules, and it took him a while to get back to me. But when he did, he had very detailed notes. And some of the things he addressed, I'd already dealt with between the time I'd given him the copy and the time he got back to me. But others I hadn't. And basically it came down to I needed to make the game just a little shorter. And the other note was my actual game rule book was too long and too verbose, and I needed to cut it down. He said, for the level of complexity of the game, your rule book is too long. So I did both of those things. And mainly it wasn't really changing the rules. It was just changing the mix of cards. I added more zombies, took away some survivors to make the proportion of zombies to survivors, higher. Changed a couple other cards, not the rules, but the how many there were. Did another round of play testing, and that was okay. This is what locked it in. And that was probably about 6 months ago that those changes were made. I really don't anticipate making any others, because that seemed to really lock down that last 10% that I didn't know I needed.
Oh, for sure. No, I mean, playtesting is useful, but you have to know when to say, okay, it's time to put the car on the road, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, you could always fiddle with something forever.
Sure.
At some point, you have to say this is done.
Right. Yes, for sure. How many people can play the game?
It's up to 5 players, and there's only one rule change you have to change. Is everybody has 6 cards in their hand. And if you have a 5-player game, you just drop it so everybody has 5 cards in your hand. That's the only change you have to make. And it works. It still works just as well. And then there's a solo version, which uses some of the same mechanics, but they're applied differently. So my wife calls it Zombie Solitaire. and she'll kind of sit there and obsessively play it. And there's you score by how many zombies you kill, which is not something in the main game. So she'll play it and then look at her score. It's like, okay, where am I on this chart? She's like, oh, good, I'm past zombie chat. Now I'm up into Survivor, and but I'm not quite up to Warlord of the Cul-de-sac yet. That's the highest level.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Who did you get to do the art for the game?
I am amazingly lucky. I found a fantastic artist by the name of Anton Brand. He's in the UK. And what happened was I was looking for inexpensive art. Because the prototypes I'll use clip art that I knew I couldn't use if I went on production at all. And I found his work on a stock photo site that he'd uploaded. And I had credits on that site that I used for my book covers for my indie publishing sci-fi books. Yeah. So for less than a credit per piece, I was able to get most of the artwork. And I contacted him directly and commissioned him to do, I don't know, 3 or 4 pieces to fill in gaps I didn't have. And I asked him, I said, this is like perfect for my game. Where did it come from? He says, well, this was developed for a game that never went into production. And it never went in production. I still own he said, I still own the rights to it. So I was able to put it up on this site. So I have a license to use it. Now, other people could use some of the same art, but a lot of it I've modified to meet my needs and had him modify. And then there's some original pieces. So I'm not overly concerned if a card I have with a particular zombie or a particular human shows up in some other work. It would just be kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool at this point. It's still, I'm using it distinctively enough to where it still just works so well with the theme of the game that it's almost hard for me to picture another artist doing it at this point.
What has the feedback been like in comparison to other similar games?
I'm pretty pleased with the reaction. To give you an idea, and had professional made prototypes by the Game Crafter, which is a company that does print runs for prototype games and small print games. So I had professional cards, not just the ones in the little sleeves. And when I did that, I ordered multiples, because to order like 2 sets is going to be really expensive. You might as well order a dozen or 15 or 20. And every time I went to a con or a game day, I'd bring the extras with me along with Xerox copies of the rules. Every single time I ran a table of 4 or 5 people, at least one person would buy a set. Every time. It's just, I've sold about 30 copies. It's just amazing.
That's fantastic. Do you foresee doing any expansions for the game, or you're just not quite there yet?
There's room for expansions. A lot depends on how the final product is published. I don't know if I'm going to be indie publishing it or preferably looking for a publisher to partner with, because to be honest, I don't want to have 2,000 copies in my garage that I'm trying to sell. And I know, the indie publishing for games is a lot different than it used to be. I mean, I know I could do a Kickstarter, and there's a lot of ways I could get that product in front of people. The problem is I don't know if I have the time to commit to learning how to manage and run a successful Kickstarter, plus the time it will take to fulfill when I'm done. There's just so much involved. I'm not sure if I want to go that route.
And that's a good point to bring up. There is a lot that goes into the process from start to finish. And when you're the creator, that doesn't necessarily, you might be a great game creator. It doesn't necessarily mean you have the skills or you have the time, right? In your case, to be able to do all the other fiddly bits that come with like a crowdfunding campaign or mortgaging your house to self-fund. Has there, other than your wife, obviously, and Steve Jackson, has anybody else chipped in to give you a hand, assisted you with anything?
I would say David Shearer has been a big supporter. He was the one that told me initially how to set up a game, and then I gave him some of the early prototypes, 2 or 3 of them, and he actually ran it for me at cons without me present. and he had his nephew who wants to design games do the same. And they sent me back very detailed feedback from every game session they ran. And that was invaluable because there's that whole issue. If you're running the game that you designed and the players start to do it wrong, you jump in and you fix it, and you don't want to do that because you want to see how they play it in their kind of it's kind of like looking at wildlife in their natural environment. You don't want to interfere.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
that actually was amazingly helpful because I got an outsider's view on the game, both from them running it as an outsider, not being the designer, and then the feedback that they got from the players that they sent me. And that helped clarify a lot of rules that other people found confusing that I thought were, of course, perfectly clear.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've run into that before too. Like, why can't you understand this game mechanic? It's the easiest thing in the world.
It's obvious I mean it this way. How could you possibly think I meant it that way? Well, when 8 people tell you the other way and one person agrees with you, maybe you're the one that's wrong.
That may be, yeah. So, are zombies something that you love in particular, or just something you happen to have
I've
fun with
always
gaming?
been a zombie fan. I wrote my first zombie short story back when I worked at a radio station as a news reporter back in the late 80s, early 90s. And they've popped up in my work here and there. I haven't done a zombie novel yet, but I plan to. If I had the money, I'd make a zombie indie film, but I don't have that kind of cash. So
Right.
instead I did a zombie indie game. And in this version of the artwork, I've pulled things from pop culture. Some of the cards I had commissioned include the cheerleader from Night of the Comet, if you've ever seen that movie.
I do remember. I was watching the comet the other day.
Danny
So,
would have gotten us Uzis. She's
Yeah.
there in her cheerleader costume with her MAC-10, and then the cop from Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
And then if I do another revision on the art, which I may or may not do, I was going to put in a couple of the Walking Dead characters. But you got to, they're genericized enough so I don't have to license them.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But so yeah, there's a lot of reflections of zombie pop culture in the game.
Fantastic. Do you have a timeline on when you think you're going to make a decision on whether to go indie, or
It's not so much a timeline as the next step in the process. I've got a publisher actually looking at it right now. I haven't heard back from them in a while, so I just sent them an email a couple of days ago. I'm expecting for them to reply to the email, fairly soon.
Yeah.
Depending on what they say. If they say, yeah, we're interested in it, let's pursue it, or we're going to pass. If they pass, in this time I haven't been sitting idle. I've got a whole list of publishers.
Yeah.
The Cardboard Edison people that provide a list of publishers accepting submissions, and I've been going through that and seeing, going to their website, looking at the games they make, and crossing out the no. Okay, yeah, they might be a good match. No, and yeah, they might be a good match, and making a list. And then even before that, I got the Origins program from Origins like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago now, and in the back they have the list of all the exhibitors. And so I went through it. I looked up every single game company on that list. And I started crossing out the ones that obviously were nowhere close. And then the ones that were maybes, I looked up their website and, crossed them out as necessary and added them to the list as necessary. So I've got a list just from the Origins catalog, the Origins programming of game companies that I think would be a good fit. Now, whether or not they're accepting submissions, I don't necessarily know until I go to their website, but at least I know which ones are a good possibility. And I'm just going to blitz. I'm just going to start sending out I'm not going to put them out on ones or two. I'm going to send them out in by the dozen and just see who's interested, because I don't want this to take forever.
For sure, absolutely. No, I agree. That's a great plan. I'm going to shift focus here for just a second because I'm going to now. We do a lot of writer stuff. You're an independent sci-fi writer. What do you write?
Yeah, I've been published both traditionally and indie. My first published work was by Baen. It was in Michael Z. Williamson's Freehold universe, which is a universe where he has a colony of Earth that has rebelled and become independent, and that was like 150 years ago. And then 150 years later, in the present time of the story, Earth decides to take them back. And be kind of like if the British, War of 1812, the British are reinvading. And I've got a couple of stories in that universe. that were my first published work. And then after that, I actually edited and published a urban fantasy anthology that I am actually very proud of, called Supernatural Streets. We had 14 writers, pretty much all indie. There were a couple that have been also trad published in there, and worked with my co-editor, Amy Gibbons. We selected the writers, we sent invites, edited all their work, put it together. We've got a nice selection of stuff going from kind of the light to some really dark, kind of grim urban fantasy. The theme was urban fantasy mystery, so that gave us kind of a focus. And I think it just turned out really well. There's some really good stories in there. And of course, I edited it, so I put my story in there too. I'd like to think that had someone else edited, my story would have still made the cut, but
Oh, for sure, right? No, absolutely. Yeah, you got to take advantage of those situations like you can. Do you have any books that you're currently working on, or any stories?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a thriller that takes place in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. A man is standing on the porch of his cabin when a woman comes to him asking for help, and then she's pursued by a crowd of armed men who demand that he turn her over. And he declines to do so, and it goes from there.
Nice.
And it's post-apocalyptic, but not like totally post-apocalyptic where everything's gone. More like, a decline, and there's been some catastrophic events, but there still is a government and there still is a functioning society, but it's really fraying at the edges. It's that kind of in between the total fall of society and normal everyday life. And I'm working on that. I'm hoping to get that done in the next 6 weeks, maybe, actually finished. And then I'm going to package it up, have the cover done, and get it published a couple months down the road.
Sounds excellent.
And then, of course, I've got raging writer's ADHD as well. I've got about 8 other projects that I need to pick what's going to be next after that.
Yeah, see, I get the same thing, so I totally understand that. Do you have another game idea that you're kind of putting in the process?
Yeah, the next one I'm working on, and like I said, I've got more ideas than I'm ever going to have time to live to do, both writing and gaming. But the next solid gaming idea I'm actually working on it now, as I've been kind of waiting to see what's happening with the Zombie Assault, is I'm calling it Holmes Brew. If you're familiar with 1977 Holmes Basic D&D, the blue book
Sure.
with the dragon and the knight and the wizard, that's the D&D version that's my favorite, and that's what I learned to play on.
Right.
And I've got 40 years of homebrew rules for that, plus stuff I picked up from the OSR movement more recently. By
Okay.
more recently, I mean the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And I'm running that campaign for my friends, and I keep having to give them little handouts or tell them how the rules are different. And I finally decided I'd make a document that just puts all the rules together in one document. I realized, hey, if I'm doing that anyway, if I do just a little bit more work, I could actually make an entire gaming product and put it out there. And yeah, it's OSR. There's a lot of OSR stuff out there, but I think it's distinctive enough to where it would have its own little niche. And the people that really appreciate the Holmes rules, I think, would like it. And
Well,
I'm going to do that.
That's interesting because, and probably this, so many of the, I'm a Moldvay guide, so many of the OSR really takes from Moldvay's version of the basic.
Exactly.
Not so much from Holmes, although Blue Home, I played that, and I liked it. It was pretty good. So
they did an excellent job. I mean, I'm not going to disparage them at all. They did a fantastic job. I'm just kind of looking at it in a slightly different way.
For sure, and that'll be interesting when it comes out. Absolutely, you need to keep us up to date here at Go Indie for when you're working on that, and we'll have you back on again to talk about it a little bit. Where can people find? Well, hopefully people will be like, "Oh, Zombie Assault sounds great." Where can they find that? Can they get a copy from you?
My YouTube channel has a demo video of Zombie Assault.
Okay.
You can contact me through my YouTube channel, which is Trevor1415.
Rob, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you sharing some of your process with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's fun to talk about. You don't want to be creative and just sit by yourself in the dark, just typing away the computer. It's good to talk about what you're doing and like interact with real people. I mean, that's half the fun of it.
Real people like me. Thank you, Rob, so much for letting us interview here on Going to Now and Zero Means You're Dead. Really appreciate it. If you have TTRPG card game or video game news that you want to get out to the general public, please feel free to contact us here at goingtonow.com. No, it's not. At Going to Now. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us here through YouTube. Joe and I appreciate anything you're willing to share with us, and we're happy to put it on Zero Means You're Dead. Next episode will be April 1st of 2026, and you can probably expect some shenanigans for that. Thanks for those who commented. Speaking of which, let's get a few comments in here. Joe seems to be a huge resurgence of bringing back games from our youth in one way or the other. Yep, nostalgia is big, but also introducing classics to a new group of people. Congratulations to all the winners. Oh, for the winners for the most anticipated TTRPGs. Again, congratulations to Professor DM. I hope Deathbringer brings you millions of bucks. But more importantly, lots of fun. The Final Girl game looks amazing. It does look amazing. Probably should have gotten some more visuals from that. For folks, next time I promise we'll get some. So Vanessa here. Hello, Vanessa. Thank you for joining us. Zombies freak me out. I break the fourth wall with I enjoy a good zombie story. I don't mind stories, but movies and TVs, nope, they just stress me out. Except Zombo, am I right? Zomboat. Well, actually, it's Vanessa who turned me on to Zomboat. Issue with comedies, way too good at putting myself in characters' shoes and visual medium. Makes sense. Some of the high-stress zombie shows just not for me. Yeah, that's true. A lot of people feel that way. And this was fun, even though I was late. Nice job, Sean. Thank you so much. Yep, thank you so much. If you were late, if you were early, I hope you enjoyed it. Apologize for the technical difficulties. It's a little bit unexpected. Thank you, Joe, for bailing us out in that regard. I guess thanks for watching, because it's always time. It's always time. It's always time to go indie now. Later.